Hi, this is PC Roger with a little bit different video. This has nothing to do really with technology, but with my old Ford truck here. After 15 years and a little over 250,000 miles, the heater core decided to go south. And it made quite a mess on the carpeting. Just a lot of it, a lot of the antifreeze flowed back in there, kind of a long trip I was on. And I found out that it's not all that hard to take the seats out and get the carpeting out to clean that up. The carpet takes a little bit longer to clean, get the antifreeze out of it. But the seats, getting the seats out in the console actually make it easier to do the heater core replacement. And what you will have to do is come up with some large T55 and a smaller Torx tool in 1/2-inch drive and a big breaker bar to get these seats out and the seat belts out to get the carpeting out. Now, the Ford engineers in all their wisdom didn't use the same size Torx fitting for both seat belts, for instance, or for all the seats, but that's kind of the way it is. So I've got the seats out and the carpeting out, as you can see. It's not necessary for the heater core or evaporator core removal and replacement, but having at least the passenger seat out in the console out makes it a lot easier, and it doesn't take that long to take it out. So this is what I've done. And this video isn't really designed to be all about replacing it, but more of an addendum or some additional information to, I think it's RealFixesRealFast has 3 good videos on changing the heater core on a truck just about like this. But he mentions the evaporator core, well, it's there to be replaced, but there's more to it than that. And he left out some other information I think would be quite helpful, so we're going to add that in here. So here you have it. It's all torn apart. The heater core and the evaporator core would go in there in that housing, and it's all ready for the new ones to go back in. Now, I bought Motorcraft replacements, but the Motorcraft replacements did not come with the foam to wrap around the heater core, and I'm going to get that from Napa. Hopefully it's going to be working out right. It's actually camper foam, 1.5 wide. I'll have some information on that on the blog post. And the gasket that fits in front of the evaporator core is no longer available from Ford, so we're going to have to kind of improvise and probably use the old one. To kind of break a little bit, we'll try to piece that in and make it work. There are some tools that are used. Now, this is a tool that the guy in the RealFixesRealFast made reference to. I've got have a link to that on the blog post. Here's some trim tools. Also got Amazon. That I only use these two. There's some more in the plastic pack, and this is a metal one used for various purposes. Now, the things I want to tell you that weren't really included in the other guys' videos. A couple of issues here in getting this dash out. We didn't take it completely out. I actually could with the seats out. I've got the passenger side pulled back. And in order to do that, you'd have to disconnect the antenna cable. And people say, well, you can take the antenna cable loose at the antenna, just pop the cover off, and there's 3 screws, and then feed it back in with a shoestring to kind of pull it back in when you want to reinstall it. But I found I could just take this device here and pry out these clips that hold the antenna cable to the bottom of the dash, and then get enough room. Also, this wiring harness, I disconnected all those from underneath the right side, kind of up to the kick panel there. And there are 2 connectors here that I had to pry out with this tool carefully. And they're just a rotten connector. I hate those that they kind of push in and hold in place, but once you take them out, you kind of tear them up. Hopefully they'll kind of work on the way back in. Well, one of the things that he did not include in those other videos that I'll again have a link to, probably on this video and certainly on the blog post, is how to get the headlight switch out. Now, I knew how to get it out because we'd had to replace this one time in the past, but it's not intuitive at all. At least not to me. I don't think anybody really figured it out on their own. But it turns out that if you have the headlight switch and if you turn to the headlight position and pull it out for the fog lights, there is on the back side a slot that is now visible. You can take a narrow bladed screwdriver and push that in, and then take the switch off. Once you take it off, you simply turn it around 180 degrees and put it back on. Snap it into the off position, and now when you turn it to the right, it actually pulls in this little clip here that holds it in place. So you can take it out. And when you're done, take it all out, snap it back in, and you're good to go. And it'll just pop back in when you go to push it back in the dash. So you don't want to break your headlight switch, and that's how you get it out. Now, when he's telling you in the Real Fixes video that, okay, this is for the heater core replacement, if you need to change the evaporator core for the AC, yep, there it is. Well, it's not that simple. You can't just pull it out. I'll have some links in my blog post where I found some additional help to get the evaporator core out. But the only way you get that evaporator core out is to actually cut the tubes. And that's fine. Okay, you get it out and you got a bit of a mess to clean up. But how do you get the new one back in? Well, you have to take that heater housing away from the firewall just a little bit, not very far. And I'll try and include some pictures with some idea of where to find it. This is also included in another guy's forum post that I'll include. But there's one nut over kind of up to the right of the gas pedal, one underneath right up here, another one that's right here. You take those two off, that one loose. Out in the engine compartment, there is 2 others you have to take loose, and a third one you have to loosen up to get access to the one. So I'll try to take some pictures of those and explain it, but just if you, at least knowing that, you can know how to get it out just by, again, taking that box out a little bit, that heater box, just a little bit once you get out, loosen it up, and then you can finally wriggle out that evaporator core. Now, one of the other things that the guy in the RealFixesRealFast talks about is this 5.5 millimeter fastener. Well, I have no idea why somebody thought that you had to have a 5.5 when 5 millimeter and 6 millimeter are so close together, but don't run out and buy a 5.5. A 7/32 standard will do the job for you just fine. I think somebody had a brother-in-law in the tool business or the fastener business that decided to invent the 5.5. Okay, here you have the engine compartment with a 5.4, which gives you less room than maybe you have the smaller engine. But if you look down, I'll try to show it here. Back in there, right next to where the heater tubes came out, there is one of the bolts, and it's a stud coming out from the firewall. You take off a nut from this side of the deep socket, and I don't remember the size, maybe it's 10 or 11. But then down over on this side, and you pretty much need to take the battery out. But down there you can see there's another stud coming out, and it's actually got 2 nuts on it. There's an 11 millimeter nut, and then there's a bracket for this air conditioner component, and then there's this bracket for a hose that goes on top, and then another nut. Well, the problem is you can't take off that back bracket holding this piece without at least loosening, and it's slotted, so you have to take it off. There's another nut back around the other side. And if you can loosen that up, you can actually pop the bracket off and then move it out of the way to get at this second nut over here. Well, this one over here is an 11 millimeter, and as you get down in the other one, you might be frustrated to find when you're all climbed up underneath the hood there, that it's a 10. Again, some engineer in its infinite wisdom decided to make those different sizes. But there's barely enough room down against the valve cover there to have your deep socket and your universal joint. But it will work, and you're able to get those out. And once you have the nut up there and the nut here off, and those nuts inside, you can push that heater box in, and you can see, since you can see the stud coming out, still protruding just a little bit, it's probably back only about 1 inch, and you can then get the evaporator core out. If you're doing just the heater core, that's not required, but for the evaporator core, it is. Well, anyway, that's what I really wanted to cover, was just to add some additional information to help you out if you were doing this job, either doing an evaporator core and not just the heater core, because quite frankly, once you're in there, why just do one? Do them both. The heater core is about $65 at Amazon. The evaporator core, I think $120. But when it takes maybe, this is an 8, 10, 12-hour job, depending on if you do it yourself or if you're a professional mechanic, having done it before, and it's a lot of work, very frustrating. So, do them both. If you're especially on an older vehicle, if the one's shot, the other one's probably going to be very close to going the same direction. So, I hope this has helped. Again, I'll have some links in the description of the video, and maybe an annotation I can hook up in the video where you can go to a blog post where I'll try to add some more pictures and some links that will help you find these tools that I've mentioned or other helpful references that might make the job a little bit easier. So that's it for this video. My website again is pcroger.com. Check out the link below or the annotation. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.